George Harrison has been one of the Beatles' most underappreciated members ever since the band's founding. Harrison eventually became weary of hearing his songs consistently overshadowed by Paul McCartney and John Lennon compositions, despite the band's constant pretense of democracy when selecting choices. Harrison felt he should be given some credit for helping his friends finish their compositions, even if it took him some time to establish himself as a songwriter. Harrison came to the songwriting game later than the other members of the band. He wrote "Don't Bother Me" while feeling unwell in bed and wondering if he could compose anything remotely good. Thus, the only reason he was able to get his first song on a Beatles record was kind of a fluke. He began introducing his songs to the group gradually after seeing he had a flair for it, frequently changing the vibe of several of their biggest successes. Though the majority of Rubber Soul's songs still dealt with love in one way or another, "Think for Yourself" presents a far saltier view of love than tracks like "Girl" or "In My Life" from the same album. Not that Harrison didn't require assistance, though. Lennon helped put together the final verses of "Taxman" and even contributed a line that would eventually appear in "All Things Must Pass," which was the group's final song. Throughout his tenure in the Fab Four, he was always asking his fellow musicians for assistance with songs. Upon hearing Harrison discuss his works in his autobiography, I, Me, Mine, Lennon was somewhat aback to learn that he never received credit for his assistance. Although Harrison didn't even admit that Lennon contributed his own lines to the song, it must have hurt him that he wasn't exactly getting bad credit for songwriting back then. Harrison acknowledged that he had never received credit for some of his old friend John Lennon's tunes, even if he wasn't precisely sorry for leaving Lennon out of his memoirs. Harrison added, "He was annoyed that I hadn't said that he had written one line of the song. The thing about that is that I didn't claim I composed 3 lines for Eleanor Rigby or 2 lines for Come Together. In the grand scheme of things, I believe I would have more grievances against him." Harrison makes valid points after all. When you consider the process that goes into creating a song beyond the lyrics, Harrison deserves much more credit for writing several of the band's classic hits. For example, he came up with the main riff for "And I Love Her" and suggested that "We Can Work It Out" be slowed down so that the bridge would sound like it was in waltz time. However, a few minor songwriting credits would never sever the Beatles' friendship. Although their later years revealed that they were not always the best of friends, the kind of friendship that is destined to endure for many lifetimes is formed when 2 people go through those formative years together.